Yes, sir. Welcome back to Talkin Nets, episode 45. Back wearing the 4-5. It ain't to play games with you. We just played the game of the year. The Nets win. The Nets win. Shock the world. Did the Nets just knock off the number one Bucks? The number one team in the East? 18-point dogs, the underdogs. David slays Goliath. Keep McPherson and Hudson Flint coming to you on a Wednesday. Before we play the Celtics tonight, we had to jump on the pod and celebrate the game that was yesterday. What's up, Hudson?
18 and a half point underdogs, biggest upset in the NBA in 27 years. Man, let me just tell you who didn't beat the Bucks. Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant, DeAndre Jordan, Jared Allen, Spencer Dinwiddie, Karis LeVert, Joe Harris, Nick Claxton, Taurean Prince, Michael Beasley. Those guys didn't beat the Bucks. You know
Jason
who beat the
Kidd,
Bucks?
Vince Carter.
The G League Nets, the third string Nets. These aren't the old regime Nets. These are the newest regime Nets. They got brought in just for the bubble.
No-name Nets. I've been calling them the no-name Nets because no one knows their names. And then the NBA had the jerseys changed, right? So you could put whatever you want on the top of your jersey: freedom, education reform, Black Lives Matter, for the first scrimmages. And now they changed it so that these real games, they have their last names underneath. Because honestly, if you're calling a game, the Nets game, you don't know any of these guys out here. Even Ian Eagle, I'm sure, was like, wait, I'm not sure if Dante Hall wears that number or Jeremiah Martin wears that number. So the no-name Nets, that's what I'm calling them. They've done it. They had a chip on their shoulder. I like that energy. I like that swag.
They had a big chip. We saw that right off the bat. We saw Dante Hall come in with that chip on his shoulder. Oh, my God. He went at the MVP.
Does he pronounce – and you might know better than me. Is it Donta or Dante? Because I know he spells it like Donta. So it would be like Donta, like Donda.
I think it's Donta.
Kanye West. But I've been calling him Dante because I'm like, what the fuck is Donta? Whose name is Donta? But whatever. Dante or Donta Hall. I like the mentality. When you step out there on the court, you look for the biggest bully on the court and you go knock him out. He wanted his respect right away. So he went to Giannis, stepped up to Giannis, gave Giannis gave him a little shove, a little extra two-piece. And Giannis didn't like any of that, but that made everybody say, whoa, who is this guy? He's not afraid of the MVP. He's not afraid of the Greek Freak. And that type of energy traveled through the whole team, man. What'd you think about, I know it was short-lived, but Jamal Crawford right away giving us energy, right away making plays. As soon as he came into the game, you could tell he lifted the Nets up.
I mean, he came in the game, 5 minutes, 5 assists. He was balling. You could tell he's still shifty. He still got those moves. That first play when he came in, he got his first assist. He did a little behind-the-back crossover right at the free throw line, went up for the shot, bailed out of the shot midway, threw the dime pass right under the basket, easy bucket. He showed that he still got it. I mean, you see old players play basketball, and sometimes you see him play, and sometimes you see, he doesn't have it anymore. He's slow. He's not playing his game. He's playing like an old man. Jamal Crawford, I don't know if it's just because, the Nets aren't exactly, the cream of the crop team or what it is, but he looked like the real deal. He looked like he was coming back and he was playing some of the best ball we've seen him play in a long time.
Yeah, him and Kyle Korver got 75, 80 years of NBA age on the court. Jamal Crawford, man, now you see why they were holding him back for conditioning. Now you see why they were kind of like, I don't know if we're going to rush him into it. He hasn't played in over a year, and that 40-year-old hammy got to him, which is tough because it was deflating. It was like, we hear Karis isn't going to play. We hear Joe isn't going to play. We hear Big J isn't going to play. But then we get the boost when we hear newly acquired Jamal Crawford and Dante Hall are going to be in the game. We started Tyler Johnson, TLC, Rodion Kurucs, Garrett Temple, and Lance Thomas. That's just like, at first when you see that starting five, you're like, yo, what are we gonna do?
We did it though. I mean, I just let me take some time to talk about Dante Hall. Obviously, everyone saw him go after Giannis, go after the MVP. But the play before I clipped it, he knows where the ball is going to be, and he makes those effort plays. we had a shot. It rimmed out. It rimmed out a little bit behind the hoop. He jumped through like 3 people and threw it out to keep the ball alive. And that was a tweet that we sent out. It actually got it got retweeted by like an Alabama fan group because that's where he went to college. And all the Bama people were commenting. They were saying, that's what you're going to get from Donta Hall. He might not be, the flashy player, but he's going to come in, he's going to make those hard-nosed plays, and he's going to show the Nets like 100% of his effort and 100% of everything he can give it all the time. And I love it. I went into this bubble being excited about him. I made that little mix of his dunks from the G League, and you can see it. He's got bounce. He can fly. He's coming towards every rebound like he's about to smash down a putback. He's electric. He's got that hard-nosed style that I wish Jarrett had a little more of. And who knows? Maybe playing together, Jarrett can be like, I'm not going to let this G League player show me, how to be a hard-nosed player. Maybe it'll spark something out of the team. I don't even care. It's just fun to watch.
Maybe it'll rub off on Big J a little bit. Maybe it'll rub off on the whole team. Like I'm saying, everybody was playing tough yesterday. And you heard in the broadcast, Ryan Rucco was giving us some background on Donta Hall, and he was saying, he broke his wrist in college, and he was supposed to be out for 3 weeks. He came back in 3 days. Like, nope, I'm ready to go. Like, that's just toughness, and that's being a freak. Like, that's unheard of. You heal up from wrist surgery, and 3 days later, you're back dribbling a ball. And then he went to Alabama. We all know former Nets coach Avery Johnson coached at Alabama, and he had good things to say about him. It's good to have him, man. It's good to have a big out there that's tough like that can jump like that just brings that type of energy. Who else do we got to show love to? TLC.
When his first career start.
Yes. When this game started, Pooch put out a tweet, and I think I replied. I said, TLC's going for 30 tonight. His first career start. It's just him. We knew, hey, there's nobody else for you to give it up to. Shoot it when you got it. Run with the ball when you got it. Make plays when you got them. And he did. I think he ended up putting up 26, got into some foul trouble late. But he was carrying us for a little bit, and he was making plays for a little bit where I was like, this young man's coming into his own. Number 1 pick, went to the Sixers. It didn't work out. Another Sean Marks find. We are finding these guys, and they are playing on the NBA level. That's something I want to remind people about, right? Because all the haters want to say, oh, they sat Giannis. They sat Chris Middleton in the second half. The Nets fans are so excited about the Bucks, and they didn't even play their starters in the second half. Are we talking about playing starters? We showed up to the bubble without our starters.
We're playing our deep third stringers. We're not playing anywhere near our starters. We're not even playing near our second stringers. Our second stringers didn't make this team.
We're playing the Long Island Nets out here. We're running our Long Island Nets guys out here, and they are playing up. They're playing tough. Going into this game, we knew that Chris Middleton wasn't going to play the whole game. We knew that Giannis wasn't going to play the whole game. But what we didn't know is that they'd be benched in the second half and not have a lead. The Nets kept the lead in this game. I think I put in my notes that they had the lead from 34-32 until it was 104-104 late in the game. So there was never really a part in the game where the Bucks bullied us. There was never really a part in the game where we weren't in control. The Nets came out from the opening tip to the final buzzer to literally prove the world wrong, shock the world. And I feel like they were disrespected with that 18-point spread. I saw that spread, and I'm like, I have to take the Nets, one, off of just being a fan and principle for the Talkin Nets brand. I can't go against that. And 2, because I think they're going to do it. And much credit goes to Jacques Vaughn. This guy, man, he's got wins against LeBron and the Lakers on his resume. He's got a win now against Giannis and the Bucks on his resume. He's beat the number 1 team in the West, the number 1 team in the East. I think he's 4-1 in the games that count for the Nets, and he's talking about it. He's saying, yeah, man, we're out there with a little 3-2 zone. We switched it up. He's scheming. He's figuring out how these guys can play. He's figuring out how to get the most out of literally nothing. I sent a tweet out. I was like, if the Bucks can't handle the Nets right now, they damn sure can't handle the Nets with KD, Kyrie, the full roster of guys that we're going to have next year, which we don't even know what this team's going to look like. I'll let you get your thoughts in, man. My mind's just running with so many things that came to mind watching this game.
Well, let's talk about more players we got to highlight. We got to highlight Garrett Temple. He put the GT in clutch at the end of the game. He hit that shot, that little mid-range jumper. That was beautiful. He won us that game. He hit some clutch threes. He put up 19 points. He was our captain, but he was our captain off the court too. He had a little conversation with that team down in Houston,
Yes.
chilling at the pool. They were relaxing, but they were talking shop. He went up to the Rockets. He said, "How do you beat this team? What do you got to do?" And the Rockets said, "Take what they give you. Shoot those threes. Don't be afraid. Shoot your shot. If you get your shot, shoot your shot." And that's what the Nets did. They hit 21 threes in this game. That's not a franchise record. 3 off the franchise record, 4 off the NBA record. But you know what that goes to show? What we talked about in the last pod. You got good vision in this court. You got good vision. You can see the ball going through the hoop way nicer than you can in these big arenas. And the Nets proved that. TLC proved that. 5 from 7 from 3. GT proved that when he hit those late threes when, the Bucks looked like they were getting control back. GT just called ISO on the point, and he hit a 3. And can you even imagine, the kind of chip on your shoulder you have to be Garrett Temple, Chris Chiozza, Timothé Luwawu-Cabarrot to call ISO on, potentially the best team in the NBA.
Best defense, right?
Best defense, statistically the best defense in the NBA. And get out of here with that Giannis only played a half. The Nets beat the Giannis in that half.
Yep.
It doesn't matter if he only played a half. Obviously, at the beginning of the game, we were all talking. We were like, damn, Giannis can score whenever he wants. I even sent out tweets. I said, Giannis is scoring at will because he hit 2 threes right away, and he was just walking to the basket. But after that initial barrage, after they scored those first 15 points, even in that first half, I didn't feel his presence too much. I felt his presence when Donta Hall pushed his ass to the ground, but I didn't feel him too much. And I don't know. I don't know if we're getting ahead of ourselves, if we're getting too excited, but if we can beat the Bucks without Karras, Joe, Jared Allen, what? Can we we can hold on to this 7th seed, right? We're back in the 7th seed now. I don't know. It's got me excited.
With Giannis, dude, it's like this. Everyone's got a plan until they get punched in the mouth. The bully is the bully until someone checks him, and that's what I felt like Donta Hall did. That's what I felt like all the Nets did. Even Jeremiah Martin got into it with George Hill during that. And I'm like, okay, the Bucks were expecting us to lay down, and we did not. And once Giannis realized, wait, I'm only playing a half, and they're going to compete this whole entire half, it was like, it was not even worth it to him. But you know what? It better be worth it because you might have to tango with the Nets in that first round. We'll see how the seeding goes with the 7th or 8th seed. I literally don't care. All of those people on Nets Twitter that were talking about tanking, all those people on Nets Twitter that were talking about losing out in draft picks, no one is talking about that now.
Throw up the clown emojis. Yeah, oh, my God.
All of you clowns on Nets Twitter have changed your tune because it was honestly the biggest day in the history of Nets Twitter yesterday. Bleacher Report is picking up tweets. The Brooklyn Nets are retweeting people like Bird's Nets, who said he's going to get a Jared Allen tattoo. People just literally people in our own Nets Twitter community throwing things out there thinking there was no way in hell we beat the Bucks, and we did. We shocked the world. I love the fact that this NBA bubble is happening, and like you said, the guys have spoken about how much better it is to shoot in this arena. It's like shooting the ball into the pool. These guys can see the hoop. Everyone is raining threes. It ain't just the Nets. All these games I've watched, teams are putting up over 105 points easily every night. Guys are shooting a 3, and that's becoming what, I don't know, it looks like that's just – think about Steph Curry and Klay Thompson sitting at home like, damn. The whole league is shooting like we shoot.
Steph Curry break his own 3-point singles game 3-point record. Oh, my God.
They'd be going off, but they're not – nope, 2020. It's not their time. They had
okay, we got Seth Curry going off, though. Don't even worry about it.
But check me out. So, you talked about Garrett Temple at the pool, and it's like, yo, think about this bubble. We could potentially go into this bubble to start next season. We don't know what it's going to look like with the vaccine, with coronavirus, with them letting fans into stadiums. So why have teams travel? We're seeing in Major League Baseball, these teams are traveling, and we've got teams like the Marlins, the Phillies. We got teams like the Cardinals that have just, I don't know, come up with a lot of positive tests, and we can't tell whether they got it in a hotel, whether they got it in an airport, whatever. I like this bubble. The bubble has created a dynamic where the Nets share the same hotel as the Houston Rockets, and they can meet out at the pool and have conversations on how to stop Giannis and the Bucks, and the Rockets beat the Bucks this week, the Nets beat the Bucks this week. It's something we've never seen before. Hashtag a whole new game. That was a great hashtag because this is a whole new game.
It's crazy. I mean, just think about all of the things that the Nets are getting from this. Let's say, they continue to play the form everyone expected to. They end up in the 8th seed. They're going up against the Bucks. Think about the level of confidence that you can have going into a game against the Bucks now than you would have had if we lost by 100 points like everyone was assuming that we would, if we lost by that 18.5-point spread. We can go into that series and say, these guys aren't gods. This isn't, the greatest team ever assembled. We can play this team. And if we can play this team with our backups in the bubble, not even our backups before the bubble, our backups, I think it makes the Nets a lot more interesting going forward, into the rest of this bubble, into their playoff series, into everything. Because if you look at our games that we have ahead, obviously we have this Celtics game tonight. That's going to be a tough game. The Celtics are a great team. But then we got the Kings. That sounds like it could be a win. Harrison Barnes is a -53 over his first 2 games. I don't know. I'm not saying the Nets are going to, win 100 games, going to win the chip this year, but it feels a lot more interesting, and it feels like there's some momentum that we can carry into these playoff series that we might be able to carry even into next season.
Hell yeah. I've changed my tune. Honestly, I was like, I'm not too worried about this. This is a tryout, blah, 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 blah. But the bubble has changed the dynamic for everything. And I'm rooting, obviously, for the Nets to win every single game. But now I have a different, rooting interest. Like, I want to see these guys really compete and scrap and maybe surprise some more people. Because if they could do what they did yesterday, they can keep this going. I expect us to beat the Kings. I won't get too far ahead. But I want to say that Hudson and I are confirmed for the Kings game to be in the virtual seats. Make sure you look out for us. We'll be out there repping. Hashtag Brooklyn Strong. Hashtag We Go Hard. We should be. I don't want to get ahead of myself and then it don't happen. But right now, we got the emails. We should be in the virtual fan seats for that game Friday at 5. Kings game. Hopefully we get another win. Let's finish up talking about this Celtics game. So going into this game, also, Brook Lopez, our guy, B-Lo, did not play. That was another dynamic of this whole thing. Late scratch. His brother, Robin Lopez, completely sucked, stunk up the place, helped us out. He had a couple 3-second violations, turnovers, fouls. He fouled out of this game with 8 minutes and 50 seconds left. Great. We'll take it. But, they didn't have anything for us, man, between Bledsoe, Middleton, Dante DiVincenzo from, Delaware Jordan from Villanova. They just really didn't have anything for us. And I don't want to attribute that to any excuses. I don't want to attribute that to anything else, but these guys playing hard. You're in 2020. You're in opposite world. You're in a parallel universe when Justin Anderson is driving down the lane and dunking on Giannis Antetokounmpo.
He put him on a poster. Oh, my God.
Let's wrap up this conversation about the Bucks game. I feel like we could talk the whole episode about this one. It's good. It's a 119 to 116 win. Nobody wants to see the Nets right now. The narrative has changed from the laughable Nets. Oh, look at who the Nets are signing. Michael Beasley. Oh, what are the Nets doing? Are they going to tank? Oh, this Nets team is a bunch of no-names. Yeah, those are a bunch of no-names with a chip on their shoulder that just went and knocked off the favorites in the East. So beware. So proud of this guy, TLC. He didn't miss until there was 4 minutes left in the first half. I have that in my notes. Jeremiah Martin, I don't know where he was. A Memphis guy. He was on Long Island Nets. But, I said a couple episodes ago, he was turning into Spencer Dinwiddie or something. He's got confidence. He's playing well. More credit to Garrett Temple late in that game. He hit basically the game-winning shot. That's just veteran leadership right there. And I feel like the president, they call him the president because he wears the suits. He's very professional, and he's always talking about, education, LSU guy, smart guy. It was great to see him find his shot late in the game to win it for us. I think that's all I've got about the Bucks. I'm glad we won that one. I don't care if we end up playing them in the first round and getting swept 4-0. We've got that now on our resume that we beat them, and Jacques Vaughn, more importantly, has it on his resume that he beat LeBron and the Lakers in the same year he beat Giannis and the Bucks.
Yeah, and the last thing I'm going to highlight is Chris Chiozza. He didn't have the flashiest scoring game, but he put up 10 points and 10 assists. And his passes are electric. His vision is unparalleled on this Nets team. It seems like every one of those open threes had a Chiozza frozen rope just right to him, easy, and he would find them, and they would be wide open shots. And if you want to play on this Nets team next year, if he wants to have a spot in the NBA, he's not a big guy. He's a small guy. He's 5'11". He doesn't have, that jaw jump out of the building type athleticism, but he's got vision, and he's got court vision like I haven't seen in a long time, especially haven't seen on this Nets team. He looked great, and I think that's something that he can take, on his resume, on his report card going into the future, whether it's with the Nets or with another team, because that's not a commodity that everyone has in the NBA. That kind of playmaking is something special to him. And I think the Nets really did get a steal in him and TLC and Jeremiah Martin, working up from the G League. And I think that it's actually good for the Nets that they're getting this chance to show it, because I don't know if they would have gotten this chance if they would have continued playing the season, if Spence stayed in, if all these other players stayed in. So I'm glad they're getting that chance, and I'm glad they're making the most of it. And I think they can ride that momentum into this game tonight.
You know who I owe some love, and not really an apology, but I owe him some respect? Our guy, Zanin Musa. I tweeted out about Musa because I've been hard on him, and I was even live talking with Matt Brooks after the game about Musa. This is what I liked from Musa. Instead of taking every shot when he's got the fast break or running down the court with the ball and trying to lay it up himself or taking the three ball when we don't need it, he made some good decisions that led to success for us. Back-to-back threes. Jeremiah Martin hit a three and Chris Chiozza hit a three. And before they hit those threes, it was from the decision that Musa made to pull up, stop, find the open man. Another pass gets made. Three, bang, good. Just quickly, who's your Talkin Nets player of the game? And now I feel like we got to title these, right? On Talkin Yanks, they have, Pride of the Yankees. On Pinstripe Strong, we have Pinstripe Strong Performance. So that's what I'm talking about. Talkin Nets player of the game. For me, it was TLC. Right off the jump, he had that energy, that fire that led us. He was a leading scorer. He knew it was on him. He turned all the way up, and I feel like he led us to that victory, and we needed that out of him. And he's really putting on and proving that, like, hey, he's going to be a part of this team next year. Who do you got for your – that's what
Man,
I'm
that's
talking
tough.
about.
You took TLC from me. I've been a TLC stan from the beginning.
Yeah, the Frenchman, of course.
But no, I love the way Donta Hall played today. He might not have, filled the stat sheet, but he had a lot of rebounds. He played with a lot of energy. And at a time, end of the second quarter, the Nets' legs might have been running a little sore. He went out and he took out Giannis. And think about the kind of energy that provides a team. Think about the kind of hustle that puts into a team. You look at hockey, and I'm a big hockey guy. I played hockey my whole life. When people fight in hockey, it's for a reason. It's not just because you're mad at the other guy. It's not just because of that. It's to hype your team up and to give your team that energy going into the end of a game, going into the end of a period, going into something to try and make a statement. And that's what Donta Hall did. He went out there, he made a statement, and he provided that energy that I think the Nets needed to finish that half strong and to go into that third quarter strong and to take a little adversity when it came. When the Bucks started trying to make a run back, he was still there. He was there being hyped. When he got dunked on at the end of the game and Giannis was like frowning and like running across the court off the bench, he was still there. He went down to the next play, got a big rebound. He hyped the team up. And that's something that I don't think you can replace. That kind of energy is something that a team needs. And I think that the Nets were missing a little bit because, Karras has spoken about how he's, growing into being a leader. He's not naturally outspoken. He's not naturally that kind of high energy guy. We don't have that major leader. We don't have, KD in the huddle. We don't have Kyrie in the huddle. But we got Donta Hall, and he's going out and showing that he can give the team that energy. And that's invaluable. That's something that I think was huge and a huge reason that the Nets were able to win that game.
You heard it right there. Donta Hall, Dante Hall, throw up the X. I don't know how they pronounce his name. First game in a Brooklyn Nets jersey. Brooklyn strong. He he put on for New York. He's got the New York mentality, even though he's from the South. And also, that's what I'm talking about. Talking Nets player of the game, TLC, Timothy Lawawu Cabarro. So what we're going to do here is read a review. We got a review. Shout out to our
was a
guy,
bribe.
Nets Head. See? So Hudson called you guys out at the end of the episode because 2 episodes ago, I threw out an offer and I said, hey, write us a review, and you know what? I'll hook it up. I'll get you guys something from the johnboymedia shop.com, shop.johnboymedia.com. I'll get you guys some merch, whatever you want. Guess who now has a free Talkin' Nets shirt coming their way? Our guy, Nets Head, Mr. Good Friend. He writes in on Monday, and he says, 5 stars, up-and-coming Nets pod. Great new Nets pod. During the pandemic, got some really cool guests from the Yes Network. They're doing recaps every 2 games in the bubble, a good balance between legit analysis and biased hot takes about the team. I think that's spot on. During the pandemic, we had to figure out how to keep the pod going. I was able to book some Yes Network people that came on to talk to me and Hudson. They were great. And then now we're ramping up without guests, but I do have some guys in mind that I'm going to bring on. We're covering every 2 games, and we will have some analyst stuff, but we're not analysts. We will have some reports and reporter type stuff, but we're not journalists. We're fans. So expect hot takes. Expect us to be excited. Expect us to be talking about the future. Expect us to be literally the voice of Nets Twitter, Nets fans, and the Brooklyn Nets, like, I don't even know what to call it. The Brooklyn Nets podcast for just fans of the game that aren't trying to do too much and aren't trying to pretend like they're reporters or journalists or analysts. Like, me personally, I played basketball up until I was like 13 or 14 in AAU. I never played at a high level. I can't tell you all the insides and X's and O's of basketball, but I can tell you I've been watching the game since I was 5 years old. I'm a fan. I can speak to you like a fan. I'm not a reporter. I didn't go to school for journalism. I didn't go to school to write and cover any type of sports. I'm on here kicking it as I see it, man. I'm excited about the Nets. I don't know how you feel about that, Hudson.
I feel great about it. And that's what I'm going to say. Nets fans can be bribed. That's what I like to see. Listen,
But
you want to leave a review. You're going to get some kickback. This is some Brooklyn deal making over here.
I think so. Like, I mean, honestly, if you write a review, I got no problem sending out shirts. I literally already have the shirt being sent out today. But I don't want to get in the habit of giving y'all stuff for free. But if you're listening to the pod and we have a call to action, write a review. We'll send you some free merch. And then the review gets written. That merch is already on the way. So the next person that wants to get a free Talkin' Nets shirt, we're actually thinking of maybe some cool bubble shirts or some Disney shirts that we could come up with to throw on the merch store because we haven't put any new stuff up. Maybe you could be one of the first to get the new Talkin' Nets shirt. So write us a review, rate us 5 stars, subscribe to the pod, tweet the link out, tell a friend to tell a friend. What we're going to do right now is take a break. And then when we come back, we're going to talk about tonight's game against the Boston Celtics.
Many hours later. Many unbearable hours later. Tomorrow for sure.
All right, just like that, we are back talking Nets, episode 45. Keith McPherson, Hudson Flynn, Wednesday night. Nets just got their ass kicked. Like, not just a little bit, but like they got their ass kicked the whole game. We won't bring you down with that. We will bring you right back up with a voicemail. Hudson, let's get into it.
Let's get it, Keith.
Yo, what's up, Talkin' Nets? I just wanted to pop in and say boys look great against Milwaukee. Doesn't look like they want to put Rhodey in the starting lineup, but him and Dante Hall could cause some problems off the bench. And Jamal Crawford looked great. Wouldn't mind him on the team next year. All right, peace out. Go Nets.
Peace out. Go Nets. Didn't leave his name, mystery caller. So we will refer to whoever left that message as mystery caller. Appreciate you, bro. We know that people are out there listening and liking tweets and sending us DMs and following the brand. So we appreciate you jumping on Talking Nets late night. My energy is low because we had a rough night, but
long night, long time.
good to hear from one of the Talking Nets fam. So he mentioned Dante Hall, and Rodion Kurucs. I guess those are our bigs now. Those are our guys we're running out there to be our big men. He said they could cause some problems together. And he also said he liked seeing Jay Crossover. It was short-lived, but I like seeing Jay Crossover out there too. So what do you think about our mystery caller and what he had to add? Nets fans.
First off, shout out to someone for calling. I love that. Don't care if it's a mystery caller. Don't care if it's anything else.
It's like third
we're both on
voicemail.
Nets Twitter. A lot of opinions flying out there. A lot of stuff that people want to talk about. We know you want to talk about it.
Yeah.
Leave your name. We love mystery callers, but give yourself a shout out. We don't care. We will play whatever you send us. But here's what I'm going to say, and I think this is what we got to talk about after the Celtics game. We don't want to get into it too much because that fucking sucked. Oh, my God. But Lance Thomas starts at the 4 again and played bad again. It just looked like he was just getting his cardio in. Old man Lance Thomas running up and down the court, not doing anything, breaking threes from the corner. I don't know why he's still starting. He's got that veteran presence. He's from New York. Maybe he's a great locker room guy. I don't know. But we got a guy that's been in the locker room a couple of years, Rhodey. He can hit those shots, and he's playing for something more than Lance Thomas.
Yeah.
I don't know. In Jacques we trust, but do you trust? Do you like that move?
Nah, and I'm a Duke guy, and I don't know. Did I kick my Lance Thomas story on this pod? I thought I did. I met Lance Thomas.
You did.
And I didn't like Lance Thomas when I met him in person. I didn't really even like him when he played at Duke, and I'm not really feeling him as a Brooklyn Net now. He's combined for 6 points over the last 2 games. He started the last 2 games. I think the experiment with him starting, that can end. Jacques, I give you a lot of credit, but this dude's getting a lot of respect off of what he did for the Knicks. I don't know if that's the case, but he wouldn't be my guy. We could figure out a few other guys, a few other different rotations, but I'm good on seeing Lance Thomas. We got smacked, bro. This game was over before it started, and it's tough, right? You come from that high of beating the Bucks. You come off that high of David slaying Goliath. It is hard to do it in the NBA back-to-back nights, especially in this NBA bubble. I've been picking the winners every night with Talkin Sports. And I've been really looking at I don't even know. Every night it's something different. Every night the matchups are different. Whether it's, I don't know, these guys get the early 1:00 game. That's another thing. We played the game at 1:40 yesterday. Then we play the last game of the night at 9:00. It's an interesting experience. I wasn't expecting us to win. I was just expecting us to play tough and play tougher than that. And we got worked from start to finish by – I don't know, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, who as Nets fans, we're always going to feel some type of way about our picks, the worst trade of all time that went down. And then that's what I think sparked the rivalry in the last decade with the fucking Celtics. I hate the Celtics. It's not because of some Magic and Bird shit. It's because of our little history, our brief history. And I'm not going to spend too much time talking about the Celtics. Good for them. Good for their team. Gordon Hayward, Daniel Tice. They got a bunch of guys. Marcus Smart. Good for them. Good for them. You're supposed to be a contender in this bubble. You're supposed to be a team that's supposed to contend for a title. Our backups beat the number 1 team in the East. We weren't expecting them to come out back-to-back nights and shock the world.
But we didn't even play the backups, though. That's what had me annoyed during the game. It took until 1 minute left in the first quarter to even put TLC in the game after going off for 26 points, 5 of 7 from deep. We don't see Jeremiah Martin. We don't see Justin Anderson. We don't see Donta Hall until the second half when we're already down by 30. These guys just went out and beat the Bucks. And I know, we have to play Karras because he's Karras. We have to play Jarrett because he's Jarrett. We have to play Joe because he's Joe. And these are all great players, obviously. But what more do you have to do to earn a starting spot? That's what a lot of people complained about with Kenny. Kenny was very stubborn with his starting lineups. He put out that same starting lineup no matter what. We didn't see him take Jarrett out when he was playing bad. We never saw him plug DeAndre Jordan in during the regular season. And it's got to be frustrating as a player. And, every athlete, even high school athletes, you play AAU, you understand. If you're in that backup spot and you go off, you expect to get rewarded with something, right? You expect to get some kind of kickback. And I don't know what they got to do. I don't know what TLC's got to do. I don't know what these players got to do to be able to get that. I don't know what Rhodey has to do to get ahead of freaking Lance Thomas. And that's something that I'm a little wary of. And I love what Jacques did yesterday. And, obviously I can't dig on him too much for what happened tonight. The Celtics are just a better team, more cohesive team, a less injured team. But I want to be able to see some kind of, reward for these players going out and playing like that, because if they don't get that reward, almost what's the point of, playing like that? I feel like there's a little less motivation in the tank, right? I mean, it doesn't feel like they're trying out for the Nets if the Nets aren't even going to give him run with Lance Thomas starting at the 4.
It's unfortunate, bro, because it's like we pull for that. We're fighting just like they're fighting. We're fighting for the underdog and that story of the Nets. But in the reality, it's like, okay, Karras. So I put out the tweet from Talkin Nets where I was like, if Joe Harris has, multiple issues, rest him. If Karras is hurt, rest him. I knew Big J was going to play, and I was down for that. But you knew these guys were going to come back in, and you knew that was going to take minutes from other guys, and it wasn't going to be the same mojo. And I know we caught lightning in a bottle Tuesday afternoon playing the Bucks, but I put out there like, yo, let's see if these guys can keep the same energy. Maybe, limit some minutes just to experiment with, like, can these guys do it again the way that they ran Tuesday? Can they come back and do it again? Nah, they weren't going to be able to do it again, but we didn't even try. We didn't even reward them for what they did and say, hey, here's your minutes. You talk about Jeremiah Martin, right? Like, he doesn't come until late. And before we started recording, I'm like, yo, I like him. He gets busy. He doesn't waste any time. He's getting after it. Like, he's, like, shooting, dribbling, running hard. Like, you see him when he's on the court. Other guys on this team, man, when you look at the box score, these guys didn't do shit. Okay, so Jeremiah Martin is the only guy that scored 20 points. There's a couple guys in double digits, but, like, Jeremiah got all those points in garbage time. You look at guys on this team that started, like I already said, Lance Thomas put up 0. Tyler Johnson with 7. He's not a scorer. We're using him for defense. He's not scoring a ball. Jared Allen with 11. Joey Harris with 14. Karis LeVert with 13. All kind of just, like, I don't know, come back down to earth performances. They played better 2 games ago. The Celtics are a good team, not taking anything away from the Celtics, but something kind of was off with the Nets tonight. It didn't even kind of have that rhythm. Like, even early, like, this game was over pretty quick. So I won't spend too much time with you talking much about that, because you throw this game out. This is one of those games like, okay, you move on. We've got another game Friday against the Kings, which is dope. One thing I will say about this broadcast was it was cool that ESPN brought in Mark Jackson. It was kind of weird, cringy at one point, but they were literally showing us, like, Tatum's son, Mark Jackson, late in the game, the virtual seats and how that whole experience goes on. People are enjoying it. People are talking about it, and we're going to get to do that Friday. I'm excited for it. I can't wait for it. So I guess we'll look ahead here. We got the Kings coming up on Friday. I think that's a winnable game for us. I mean, I could see us losing it too, because the Kings have played tough, and it's night to night in this NBA bubble. It could be anybody's night. And then after that, we have on Tuesday – who's up on Tuesday? Clippers. So that could be an interesting one too. But the Suns beat the Clippers 2 nights ago. Like I said, it's night to night. It's NBA in a bubble. It's something we've never seen. Hopefully Jacques Vaughn and the Nets can figure out who's going to be the team to run out there to beat the Kings Friday. But I'm looking forward to the rest of the games. I'm looking forward to all of it. I'm looking forward to the seeding and, the next few weeks before the playoffs start. And even when we get into playoffs, like, a loss like this is not so much even that I'm not worried about a loss like this. It's deflating to watch a whole basketball game after that and get literally waxed by 30-plus points. And then I was already coming off the Yankee game where the first game of the doubleheader was blown. But I know this isn't a baseball podcast and people want to hear about basketball, so I will not start talking about 7 innings. But I'm glad we recorded the opening of this podcast before this game tonight.
And me too. And you talked about the virtual seats. I was listening on the Yes broadcast, and shout out to the Yes Network. We got to see some high quality, some roller skating footage.
Oh,
that
yeah.
was some fun stuff from the crew at the Barclays Center. But Ryan Ruocco was on the call, and he talked about how he had Kemba Walker on the next episode of the R2C2 pod. So shout out to that pod. Shout out to Ryan Ruocco. And Kemba talked about how he liked having the virtual fans. He liked being able to, look over and see his moms like he was, playing a normal game, because it's cool stuff. It's little stuff, and I'm excited. We saw Lil Wayne at the Lakers game. The Lakers got waxed though.
I
They
know,
they played a weird ass game
I'd
against
rather
the
talk
Thunder.
about that for a second, dude. Are you buying into OKC now? I have no choice but to buy into OKC, and people have been rumbling about them even before the season paused. Man, Chris Paul, Billy
He's ageless.
Donovan. Billy Donovan, let me start there. Billy Donovan is a hell of a coach. Chris Paul is a coach on the court, MVP type. Like, he's playing his ass off. He's got that team playing hard. He's brought on Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, Morrison, all of these guys. They got a bunch of guys where I'm like, yo, they're putting people on notice in the West. Like, you don't want to get in a series with them. They steal a couple games from you. I'd rather talk about some of these other teams. Wayne.
Shout out Talkin Thunder, our boys over at Talkin Thunder.
Yo, but Oklahoma, imagine you're a kid in Oklahoma. Oklahoma City Thunder is everything, not even just a kid. Oklahoma City Thunder are the pride of Oklahoma right now. Oklahomans are proud of their Oklahoma City Thunder. And who would have known? Who would have thought that? This time last year, they're like, oh, we're doomed. We lost KD a couple years back. Now we lose Russ. They leave us high and dry. Oh, we get Chris Paul. Chris Paul's washed. Nah, something different went on over there. I love it. The NBA is crazy like that.
I love it. And shout out Oklahoma. Oklahoma, they're a fun sports state too, because they got those teams. They put in so much effort into those teams. I mean, that's really all they got. They have the Thunder, and then they have Caleb Williams and the Sooners. So they put in a lot of effort when it comes to being a fan, and I think it's getting rewarded. The amount of stars that they've lost over the last couple of years. I mean, obviously the stars that they've gained, they brought in these good players too, but the stars that they've lost, and to be able to go out with an old Chris Paul and all of these young players who they don't know what they're going to get from them, and to go out there and make moves. I love what I'm seeing from them. I don't know if they're going to be able to beat the Lakers or the Clippers on a night in, night out basis, but them as a 3 seed, I like that. I like, the betting line that you might get from them. I like a lot of, playing their spread, because they're a fun team. They're a team that plays hard, and they're a team without a lot to lose because, Chris Paul's older, and they got a team full of young guys. They don't have any of those guys in the middle who are in this win now mode where it's win or everything. If win or I don't get a contract. And I like it. And I think they're definitely going to be fun to watch.
All of this is fun to watch. All of these teams are fun to watch, honestly. I've been betting on the games. I've been looking at the spreads and watching night to night. I can watch any of these games. There's star players on all these teams except the Wizards.
The 10 seed Wizards. The Wizards are behind the Charlotte Hornets. They're the 10 seed. They got into the bubble, but the
Wizards now sit below a team that wasn't invited to the bubble, the Charlotte Hornets. You can't draw this stuff up. Like, no one was thinking about that before. Like, okay, the Wizards are gonna lose out, and they'll have to swap out with the Hornets first week of August. But
Devontae Graham sitting in Charlotte, all confused.
That's great. All right, man. Let's wrap this up. We will be back on the pod, I think, on Monday morning after we play the Clippers. Sunday we'll record, and it'll be another reaction pod after 2 games, after the Clippers game and after the Kings game. Look out for us during the Kings game. Hudson and I, right now, we have reserved some virtual seats. I hate putting stuff out there like that before it's actually signed, sealed, delivered, and done and actually happens. But I want you to look. I want you to be like, yo, what's up? I know those two. And, man, write a review. If you write a review, you can get a free shirt. Going once, it already went once. Going twice, here we go again. You can get a free Talkin Nets shirt. And pull up on the voicemail, 201-807-0461. It's on our Twitter. I think we tweet out at least every week. Yo, hit the voicemail with what you want to come through on the pod and say, mystery caller just made the pod. Can't wait to find out who he actually was. And you already know. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, at Talkin Nets, at John Boy Media. You can follow me at Keith McPherson. And Hudson, where can they follow you?
You can follow me at Hudson Flynn _. Man, let's close this thing out. Midnight after an L. Let's get out of here.
2 minutes to midnight Wednesday night. And that's fine, because you know what? The Nets are going to get a little bit of a break, rest here. They'll be off Thursday. They'll be back Friday. Hudson and I will be in the virtual seats.
At the courtside seats.
Courtside seats. And you already know what we say. Let's go Nets, Brooklyn.